Hi, it's Baz, and welcome to What I Learned Today. Today I'm going to be talking about the things that I learned about the effects of caffeine timing. So what I learned today is that for folks 50 years old and older, caffeine stays in our system for much longer than it did when we were like 20 years old. So even an early afternoon coffee can mean poor sleep quality 12 hours later. And the thing that poor sleep isn't always noticeable the next day, which means that it can have a cumulative effect. Now, how did I learn this? Well, from experience, actually. I had coffee at 8 p.m., as kind of I normally do, and I kept experiencing really poor sleep quality. I'd wake up several times during the night, and as you can imagine, since I was imbibing caffeine that late, it was always to urinate, but it interrupted my sleep and I had trouble getting back to sleep. And I also noticed that when I'd wake up in the morning, the clarity that I was experiencing was somewhat cloudy, and I wasn't as clear and motivated, kind of dragging every single morning when I would have coffee that late. So what does this mean? Well, for me, it means rather I'm cutting it off at about noon or 1 p.m. Now, the first couple of weeks, it was pretty rough doing that because, as you can imagine, I would have some caffeine headaches about 4 p.m., sometimes 6 p.m., and sometimes at 2 a.m., and that would interfere with my sleep as well. But I got through those first 2 weeks, and my sleep quality started to increase. And so what I was doing, I realized that my addiction was really to a warm liquid whenever I wanted it. And I've substituted herbal teas that I like, and I don't like a lot of them, but there are some that I do, and decaf coffee. So if I really want a cup of coffee in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, which has been my habit for 50 plus years, then I'll have decaf. And that satisfies my craving for coffee at that time, and it doesn't interfere with my sleep. So what does this mean for you? Well, for you, if you are suffering from caffeine addiction like I have been for years, then you might track how much caffeine you're intaking every day. Just make a note of it in a small notebook or in a note on your phone. And then next, why not cut yourself off, say an hour earlier than you normally do for a week, and then assess how you feel. Assess your sleeping habits. If nothing has really changed, then maybe cut it off a couple of hours or 3 hours earlier, and then take a look at the data. Because it's not about what we want. Tell us much information. The data that we record is what's most meaningful. And you'll know if you're sleeping better. I couldn't believe it. The very first time I tried that, other than waking up at 2 a.m. with a headache, I felt so much more refreshed the next morning. Now, as I said, it was rough for a couple of weeks, but if you can get through those 2 weeks, then you're really on easy street after that. So that is what I learned today, and I will see you in the next